The Johor Bahru-Singapore RTS Link marks another milestone with the first of 8 trains unveiled. Track works are set to be completed by end July, with services starting at the end of next year. And for more on this story, I'm now joined by Dr. Terence Fan. He is Assistant Professor of Strategy and Entrepreneurship at the Singapore Management University. Dr. Fan, welcome to the program. So we've seen the first of 8 trains. Your impressions on the first look of the RTS train?
It's definitely a modern look, a modern take of what used to be or what is still running in terms of the KTM railway. It looks very much like our MRT system and also the equivalent in Malaysia as well. The benches are also like that, and compared with the old or the current KTM trains, there's a lot more space in the cabin. This is for people to more easily get into the train cars as well as to get out of it. And I believe there's also an induction system, so those who are hearing impaired can also, get the help, so they won't miss out on announcements and things like that.
It's interesting to note that, yes, this hearing induction loop is the first time that this technology is being used on a train in either country, right? So what does that say about the system's approach to accessibility and inclusivity?
I think definitely the authorities are being more inclusive in terms of what they consider as their customers or their travelers and so on, and being much more considerate and going that little step further to make that journey a little bit smoother.
I have to quickly ask, what do you make of the colors?
Well, obviously it's an amalgam of the different flags of the different countries and also that of Johor as well, I believe. So it's a bit of a mix of things, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe no advertisements taking place of that yet.
Beyond aesthetics, once it's running, the service will operate 18 hours a day with a peak hour frequency of 3.6 minutes. Is that enough to handle the demand of the border crossing?
I think certainly one will have to see what the demand is like. Usually when a new rail service starts, there's a little bit of a period for demand to pick up because travelers have to kind of adjust to it. But I think for this RTS, I think the adjustment may be a bit small because it's directly connected to the Singapore MRT system. People used to have to connect with a bus for a couple of stops and so on. Now you just go from one train to another. So that's definitely a step up in terms of convenience. I think probably the adjustment period will be a bit less. So they will have to then see what the demand is like for the peak hour. And I'm actually a little bit more concerned about the starting time because I think it starts at around 6. And I think some of that will accommodate people from Malaysia coming to work in Singapore. And they may want to be at the workplace, a little bit before their appointed time to allow for some delays and so on. So we'll see how that works out.
Do you see officials adjusting the timing or the duration of the trains?
I think that's certainly a possibility, but at the same time, I think even though it's a new rail line, there certainly wants to be some time allowed for maintenance. And typically, the nighttime, sort of that early hours is probably the only time that this rail line will sort of get their sort of maintenance hours. So I think they will probably have to juggle a little bit here and there.
Okay, and each train will have a typical capacity load of about 607 passengers, as we understand, but it can also take a maximum of about 1,000. I mean, tell us, what would be like? What does it look like traveling with that many people? Would it get too crowded?
Well, it looks like and feels like a typical MRT train, and the MRT trains sort of can't accommodate that many people. So I wouldn't think it will be anything worse than it. But during peak hour kind of MRT trains, probably one will get a little bit crowded, a little bit closer to the people around you. So probably that will also be the case as well. But also we have to consider the fact that this is, a cross-border train. So there will also be some people with a little bit of luggage, pieces of roller-ons and so on. So that probably will buffer a little bit in terms of the space, between you and the person next to you.
And how has the train design accounted for those needs?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So the benches, as I can see, they're along the side, so that facilitates movement and also facilitates people standing in the middle. And also some of the seats can be flipped up to accommodate for more standing room or maybe for the bags and so on.
Okay.
So good consideration for that.
The transport ministers of both countries have hailed the RTS as a milestone in Malaysia and Singapore relations. And officials have also said, this is more than a transportation system. So what does this partnership symbolize? How has it changed relations between the two countries?
I think it marks a big step forward in terms of improved relations, that both countries can sit together on a table, can hash out these issues, and then kind of see this project to fruition after some years of planning and implementation. So that is itself sort of a big milestone. We haven't quite seen this kind of level, and that has gone through that many years of discussion and so on. So hopefully that is a way to work in the future, and hopefully there will be bigger projects to come as well.
So you're very confident, of bigger, deeper cooperation in the future?
Well, at least we have a very good blueprint from which to build on. So, things can fall back on that if, other sort of ways don't work out.
Earlier, we were talking about, this current present times being early days for this RTS Link system. But how will it affect other modes of transport between Johor and Singapore? Do you see it affecting demand for buses or even private taxis?
Yeah, I think it would definitely be some shifting of some of the modes. If you think about the different mode choices, for example, this actually represents a new form of sort of cross-border travel because it directly links to the Singapore's MRT system. So people can just, from anywhere in Singapore, hop on an MRT train and kind of seamlessly, get on this one and so on. And likewise for people coming from Johor, that means you are more like a commuter all the way, rather than, we have to pack our bags to go across the border. So it actually can stimulate a little bit more travel because it's just easier. You don't have to change to buses and so on. And also it used to be, and currently also at the other checkpoints, is that you go through the Singapore side of formalities and then the Malaysia side, or the other way around when you come back. Now, with the RTS, I'm told that you only have to go through once at the beginning. You board this train, and then once you get off, you are there as a local. So that also will save a bit of time, hassle factor. And also if you take the bus now and if you go through one formality and then you go through another, you may miss your first bus because lines may be long and so on.
That's right.
Now, you don't have this problem now, with this. So I think it's just a lot more convenient. And some of the people who used to travel by bus or maybe car or other means may also now consider, hey, seems like a much more convenient mode of transport. And note also that on the Singapore side, it goes on the Woodland North Station. It's not quite the old Woodland checkpoint, so it kind of acts like an additional kind of causeway as well, if you think about that. So it relieves some of the Woodlands pressure and it opens up a new channel on the Singapore side.
I think we are expecting to see a significant shift in commuter preferences once the service is fully up and operational. Dr. Fan, thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. That was Dr. Terence Fan from SMU.